Over the course of my career, I've seen acquisitions play a very powerful role in creating value for business owners. But I've also seen a lot of very sophisticated, very intelligent, and very well-intentioned people end up in the exact same position that Jennifer found herself in. And today, the first installment of the Buy-Side Masterclass series, we're going to talk about how you can avoid that. Now, over the course of this series, we're going to talk about buy-side M&A from nuts to bolts, from forging strategy, to sourcing deals, to crafting an offer, to negotiating, to doing due diligence, and to ultimately closing the transaction. Today's session, however, is largely going to focus on whether an acquisition is right for you to begin with, and if it is, how to go out and effectively source M&A targets. Now, as you know, I am a sell-side banker, right? I've spent the majority of my career selling businesses as opposed to buying them. Now, although I did work on the buy side at American Capital for a few years, the majority of my time spent on the sell side. Buy-side skills and sell-side skills are very, very different. For example, on the buy side, you are extremely concerned about overpaying, right? On the sell side, I don't care about that. In fact, I want people to overpay for things. On the buy side, you're really focused on due diligence, making sure that you're not overpaying, making sure that you're not buying something, or making sure that you're not paying for something that you're not actually getting. On the sell side, I don't really care. From a negotiation standpoint, it is very different. And later in this series, we're going to get into the differences between buy-side negotiation and sell-side negotiation, which are, again, two very different skill sets. But for now, when you think about acquisitions, what I want you to think about is acquisitions tend to support business strategy, right? So acquisitions are tactics. They're not strategy. And I know we hear often our acquisition strategy is. I've always disagreed with that, I think, fundamentally, because I never viewed acquisitions as a strategy. I viewed acquisitions as a tactic in support of strategy. And when you take a step back and go down to first principles here, every decision that you make as the CEO of a business really serves one or both of these following masters: increase cash flow or decrease risk. Literally every decision that you make as a CEO should do one or both of those two things. You should be focused on increasing cash flow or decreasing risk, because those are the only two levers that you have in regard to increasing value in your business. Now, increasing cash flow is easy, right? You increase revenue, you hold costs down, you increase cash flow. Everyone kind of gets that. Now, when you talk about risk, sometimes that's a little bit more difficult for people to grasp. So some very basic examples of that is customer concentration risk, for example. If your business, for example, has 100 customers, and each customer pays you $1 a year, you're getting $100 a year in revenue from 100 customers. Not a lot of customer concentration risk. If you're making $100 a year and your two largest customers each pay you $25 a year, it's half your business. And those two large customers account for 25% of your revenue each. That's customer concentration risk. And that impairs the value of your business, because risk and value are inversely related, whereas cash flow and value are positively or directly related. So you always have to keep in mind the risk profile. When you think about technology, for example, technology goes in waves, and we are now in the AI era. So if you are still doing things like it should have been done in 1995, here in 2025, it's a very different story. And so when you think about like technology obsolescence, for example, if you're not staying on top of that, that's a risk factor. So when you think about acquisitions, acquisitions need to support corporate strategy. And the first question that you always need to ask yourself is, how does this acquisition solve a problem, right? Like, what problem do we have and what are we trying to solve? How does this acquisition tie into that? Secondly, how does this acquisition ultimately increase cash flow or decrease the risk of the business? Now, over the course of my career as a sell-side banker, I've gotten the opportunity, obviously, to work with hundreds and hundreds of acquirers. I've also had the opportunity to sit down with hundreds and hundreds of clients. And those clients, just like you, have either done acquisitions, many of them, or certainly want to be deal guys and do acquisitions. And I've had a lot of conversations with clients that were very similar to the conversation that I had with Jennifer on the airplane. Jennifer ran a great business. She was growing it rapidly. She was having fun running that business. She had a great team. She had a great go-to-market strategy, and there was a great fit. She was sitting around one day. She got the call from the banker, hey, your competitor's on the market. That was an opportunity for Jennifer to look at this and say, wow, I can double the size of my business. I can knock out a competitor. All of my friends are doing deals. I should be doing deals. This is exciting. Now, I know running a business over time, it's like Groundhog's Day, right? Same thing every single day. You're chugging along. And sometimes doing transactions can be exciting, and they can be a great opportunity for you to double the size of your business overnight. So I'm not here to entirely discourage you from doing acquisitions, but what I am going to tell you throughout the course of this series is that there are far more bad reasons to do an acquisition than there are good. Far more bad reasons to do an acquisition. And Jennifer is a prime example of that. She looked at this opportunity and said, I can double my business. This is exciting. This is a challenge. I could take it on. It didn't really support her strategy because she bought a business that was a lower cost producer. So she had a SaaS business, a software as a service company in the finance sector. She had a specific technology that she developed. She had worked for a large company for many years. She left. She got together with a couple founders, put this business together, developed the technology, and she was off to the races. And by all measures, she was doing a phenomenal job. She had a competitor that had been around for, I think, 15 years longer than she had been around. This particular company was much smaller than hers, right? It was 70% of the size of her business. It had been around for a lot longer. It was growing at a much lower rate. It was providing a similar service using antiquated technology at a much lower price point. So it was a different customer segment. When you have a different customer segment, you oftentimes have a different employee segment, right? It's not as an exciting of a business. Employees always tend to self-select. So employees that want to be part of an organization that's growing rapidly and that's exciting is very different from the employee that's okay with the slower growth company, maybe receiving lower wages, may not have as much excitement in the job. So when the opportunity came up for Jennifer, she thought, well, I can almost double the size of my business and I can acquire a lot of these new customers, right? These customers of the old company will leave this platform once I acquire the business and they'll be on our platform now and our technology. What she didn't realize at the time, though, is that's much more difficult said than done. I mean, there was a reason why those customers never defected to her business to begin with. They were getting a lower price at the target company. And switching costs for her service, for her business, was very high for the customers. What they were using this for, her product, was a mission-critical operation. And so there's a high switching cost in terms of price, time, resources, as well as risk for end users to move from one of these financial backbones to another. Many of them would have done that naturally out in the market if that switching cost didn't exist. So now she combines these two businesses. She expects all of these legacy customers to target to come onto her new platform. And a lot of them dug in their heels and said, we don't want to do this. So she ultimately ended up running two separate businesses under one umbrella. All the various synergies that she believed that she was going to get from this acquisition, many of them dried up. Over time, it turns out that the employee base didn't play well together. For example, her management team had great comp. They had equity incentives, so they had a stake in the outcome. They had a very aggressive bonus plan, whereas the management team of the target, for example, didn't have that. They got salary and a bonus. There was no equity. There was no upside. And when she combined the organization, of course, the target's management wanted the same thing that she was providing to her own management team. The only difference is her managers were far more experienced and had a lot more piss and vinegar than the target management team. Same thing with employees. And so there was ultimately a culture clash. One of the situations that Jennifer found herself in, which is very, very common, is not thinking about opportunity cost. Had her and her management team doubled down and really focused on their core business and not worried about an acquisition, she would have been further on today than where she is now, managing basically a living dumpster fire. Now, the acquisition wasn't all bad for her. I mean, she did grow the business. She as a larger firm, she knocked out a competitor that could easily have, over time, developed more advanced technology, so on and so forth. But it wasn't a good use of capital for Jennifer, number one. It wasn't a good use of her time and her management team's time. Ultimately, they ended up spending a couple of years managing this mess in a world where they could have otherwise grown organically. So when you think about acquisitions, you always need to keep in mind that organic growth, no matter how you shake it, is always better than acquisitive growth. We'll be filming the remainder of the Buy-Side Masterclass series in the coming weeks. So if you have any requests or questions, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And finally, as we get into the more technical aspects of buy-side M&A, I'll be able to provide you with a variety of different items, such as a template LOI, a buy-side due diligence checklist that I think will come in handy as you go out and attempt to make acquisitions on your own. I put a link in the description section below. You can click on that so you can be notified as soon as those are ready to go out. Here at POTOMAC, we love to kill it for our clients. And I think that education is the cornerstone which allows our clients to make the best decisions for themselves. The more you can understand about the nuances of how strategic acquirers work, how the operations of private equity firms work, and the psychology and the tactics of an M&A transaction, the better you're going to be when it comes time to pull the trigger. If you own a business and you're being contacted by strategic acquirers, search funds, private equity firms, and you're trying to size up what you might do, take a step back and give us a call. We'll help you forge a plan, whether that exit is a year from now, 5 years from now, or 10 years from now. We'll help you think through a plan that is specifically tailored to your financial goals and objectives. So please contact us directly. I've put a link to the contact form in the description of this video, and you can also contact me directly on LinkedIn. And feel free to share this masterclass series with somebody who you think might benefit from it. Again, I'm Paul Giannamore. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one.